On September the 30th, 2006, more than 100 international climbers watched on as a band of Tibetan refugees attempted a daring escape from their homeland over the remote Nangpa Pass in the Himalayas. In the thin air, at 5,700 meters, armed Chinese border police pursued the refugees.
I immediately knew that somebody was going to die, and I turned to the clients and I said, "You don't want to watch this."
They were shooting straight at us.
As the Chinese aimed their weapons at the unarmed Tibetans, mountaineers filmed the horrifying events.
They're shooting them like dogs.
In the making of this program, witnesses to the shooting contributed their video footage, and survivors helped reconstruct their harrowing ordeals. In September 2006, hundreds of international expeditions descended on Kathmandu, the capital of Nepal. Here, mountaineering is big business.
God save the Queen.
For Romanian television cameraman Sergiu Matai, this was his first time climbing in the Himalayas.
Junior n-ai vrea să știi ce poziție este camera asta acum. I'm a bit dodgy.
I can describe myself as a storyteller, but most of the times I'm just the man that observes things and uses the camera to express himself in pictures better than in words. For me, climbing mountains outside is pretty much climbing your mountains inside.
Experienced British climbers Lee Farmer and Steve Laws were with a hand-picked expedition.
I've always been one for setting my own personal challenges, and each time the next one's got to be either something different or something harder, and that's just the way I've lived my life.
I always think I'm a bit of a terrier, and I keep chasing something and keep going after it.
Gotta keep looking, can't find the bag of light.
But I like to give the impression that I'm a bit of a risk taker, but if anybody knows about mountaineering and climbing, they'll know that everything in mountaineering and climbing is a calculated risk.
We were covered in spindrift at 2:30 in the morning, right? And it was windy.
Luis Benitez, a professional mountain guide from the USA, had been working in the Himalayas for years, shepherding small groups of less experienced climbers to extreme altitudes. Luis has climbed most of the world's great peaks, conquering Everest 6 times, including a successful attempt to lead the first blind man to the summit.
Woo! On top of the world! I've been told I'm a caregiver, just because I think when you're a mountain guide, you tend to sacrifice everything about yourself for others, because I love what I do.
These mountaineers had paid large sums of money to their expedition companies. Their common objective was to scale the 6th highest mountain in the world, Mount Cho Oyu, on the border of Nepal and politically sensitive Tibet. Inside Tibet, there was also money to be made. Tibetans secretly paid their hard-earned savings to escape their Chinese-controlled homeland. Unlike the mountain climbers, the Tibetans cannot get passports. Seeking refuge outside Tibet is a serious crime. In the back streets of Lhasa, 14-year-old Jamyang met his guide in a tea shop. He handed over the money it had taken him 4 years' hard work to save. Jamyang was wary.
He wanted about £500 for just one person. I didn't trust him. He was only interested in my money.
Trusting your life to a shadowy, illegal guide is a high-risk way to leave Tibet. The mountain passes in the Himalayas are littered with frozen bodies. There are no guarantees. Since the age of 10, Jamyang knew he had to leave Tibet.
The Chinese occupation stopped me from getting a proper education. I went to a Chinese school, but if we didn't understand, the teachers didn't care. They abused us by hitting us on our heads with dirty brooms, and they beat us up.
18-year-old Dolma and her friends came from the same rural district in Tibet. They dreamt of coming to India together, to an education and a future denied to them at home.
3 of us girls made the decision together. At home, escaping Tibet is always on our minds. Whenever I saw photos of His Holiness, I just wanted to see him in person. One day, Kelsang Namtso and I were in the field. She called me over and said, "There are people going to India. Do you still want to go or what?" And I replied, "Oh yes, I really want to go." We drove in taxis all night and reached Lhasa at about 4 p.m. We'd been warned the Chinese police may be looking for us, because apparently the police in our hometown knew we'd left. The guide said, take only enough barley meal and dried meat to last 4 days, and bring only 1 blanket for 2 people.
In Nepal, half a day's drive from Kathmandu, the mountaineers reached the border. The river under the so-called Friendship Bridge gushes down a cultural fault line between easygoing Nepal and highly regulated Tibet.
An atmospheric veil comes down halfway across the bridge where you realise that you're walking into a Chinese-controlled area.
But it just felt a little bit hostile. There was nothing friendly about it. There was no "Hi, welcome to Tibet" or "Welcome to China." It was next, stamp, stamp, and that was it.
But no amount of Chinese control can stem the flow of Tibetans, who will risk their lives attempting to escape.
The truck was so overcrowded that once you sat down, you couldn't stand up again. There were at least 13 young children inside.
In all, there were 75 people in the truck. Our guide had lied to us.
We had absolutely no idea where they were taking us.